and welcome to my very first vlog from Paris. Today we are going shopping around the charity shops and thrift stores in Paris, and let's see what we can find. Let's go. They had this huge collection of belts. They were all leather, but for 15 euro each, I decided that it wasn't really worth it. Then I moved downstairs and they had so many dresses in there, so I started looking through all of the different pieces. This light yellow dress was 100% wool, but unfortunately it had some rips at the back, so I left it. I really liked the design of this vintage one, but the colors weren't mine. And then I actually stumbled upon Stine Goya, which, if you know, is a Scandi brand, and their dresses retail for a few £100s. I tried this dress because I really loved the pattern, but it just wasn't fitting exactly right, and so even though it was great, I left it at the store. I also tried this desigual mini dress because, again, I really like the print, but this one wasn't really comfortable. Then, just for fun, I wanted to try this vintage dress, but I feel like it looks like I'm in a nightgown. And finally, I tried the Stine Goya, and even though it didn't look like much on the hanger, I actually really liked it on me. It was very comfortable, and so this one was 10 euro and got home with me. My friend and I decided to stop for a quick coffee break to recharge, and then we continued to the Marais, where they had a lot of second-hand stores. So this first chain is called Thrifter, and they had a couple of stores on the same street, so we went into this first one. Their shops are quite small, but they're really packed. Now this first one was actually quite good because even though it was hot, there weren't that many people, so I started looking around, and they had so many really high quality jackets and blazers. For example, this jacket was made out of suede, and there was also a lot of wool blazers, and everything was very reasonably priced at about 10 to 20 euros. So if you're looking for anything like that, this place was amazing. I found this bag. I also found this skirt from Marsh that had a lot of Paris monuments on it, but unfortunately was way too small. So in here I tried this gorgeous blazer because I loved the embroidery on it and it was really fun. And then I also found this Emporio Armani blazer. It was really high quality, but I just didn't like the fit on me as much. Then we moved on to a kilo shop, and this is where they have items with different colored labels, and each of them has a price per kilo, so you just weigh the item. They had so many really cool and quirky pieces in here, but the prices were a little bit higher than any of the other stores we were before. This M&M jacket was really cool, but it was 150 euros, so I left it behind. I absolutely love this jacket because I used to be a huge NBA fan, but it was 150 euros, so definitely not something that was worth it for me, for something that I would not wear very often. We then moved into a second Thrifter, but this one was extremely packed and it was about 30 degrees outside and probably more than that inside, so I was just sweating all over the place. This one was way less organized, and so I did try this shirt, but I didn't really like it on me, and so I left it behind. Next door we had another Thrifter that was also super busy, and so there was a lot of rummaging around. I did find this coat that was really high quality, it was made of wool, but unfortunately it was just not sitting right. Then I also tried this vintage ski print blouse and also this brown pinstripe blazer. And by the way, stay tuned until the end of the video where I'm going to show you a haul of everything that I got, and I'll try it on and style it properly so you can actually see the piece, because filming in those spaces was just so hard. We're absolutely sweating, there were people everywhere, and it was just not a very comfortable scenario to do long videos. At that point, my friend and I were absolutely exhausted. It had been about 4 hours of thrifting. We had a dinner reservation, so we just decided to go home, rest for a bit, shower, and get ready for food. And so that ended my first thrifting day in Paris. So I've just left my friend at the train station and I have about 6 hours to spare, so let's go for a second day of vintage shopping in Paris and let's see what we can find. This first shop was called Super Vintage and it was very well curated. The prices were a little bit higher but still very reasonable. So I started with this silk top that was 15 euro, but unfortunately I didn't really like how it was on me. Next, this really weird piece that was a little bit like a mesh really piqued my interest, and I tried it on, and even though I tried it just over my clothes, I really liked the idea, and so this is something that I thought I could style in an interesting way. Next we had the silk top that I absolutely loved the print of, and it reminded me a lot of a blouse that I already have, so this was the only reason why I actually didn't choose this one. This next one was another silk piece, and while I liked it, it wasn't anything special. Next was a vintage Balmain dress that unfortunately was way too small for me, so I can't even show it on because I couldn't get in it. Next, see-through skirts are a really big trend, and so I found two different ones. This first one is in navy and it had more of an A-line shape, which looked really cool. It also has embroidery. And then the second one is this purple one that was a little bit longer and lighter. So I made some purchases in here and then I started walking down the street to another shop. Now this one has a name that no one can pronounce and no one knows where it actually comes from. This is an urban legend that if you guess it, apparently the shop is yours, but no one has been able to do that. And they had a price of 2.85 per piece or 5 euro for 2 pieces. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this one was very bare when it comes to clothes, but I was really surprised when I found two different blazers from Gianfranco Ferre's studio. This navy one was amazing and quite oversized because it is a men's blazer, but I kind of liked it on me. Next we had also a grey version that was quite similar but in a slightly worse condition. It had a bit of rips inside, so it wasn't amazing. And I already have a grey blazer that I absolutely love, and so I decided not to pick this one. While I was waiting to pay, I actually found this green leather snakeskin kind of belt and I picked both pieces for 5 euros in total. Okay, so there was a lot of Y2K stuff in here, which is completely not my style, but I did find a Ferre blazer for 2.50 because I got two different things, and I am excited to keep going, but it's getting really hot. I'm not sure if you can see, but it's like no clouds in the sky, so let's go to another one. Next I went to a shop called Namak just down the road, and it didn't have too many female stuff, but it had two designer bags, this Y Project one and this Mugler one, both for 500 euros, and they were brand new, so probably worth it, but definitely not within my price range. Then I went into a large store called F Vintage Paris, and this one had a lot of different clothes. Some of them were reasonably priced, some were pretty expensive, and so I found a couple of different things to try on. They had a lot of leather bags. Both of those bags were from a brand called Le Tenue, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, which is quite an expensive brand, but one had a lot of scratches and the other had a broken zip, which for 30 euro I just didn't think it was worth it. Next Next I tried this leather blazer, which was cool but a little bit too small on me. And then I also tried this vintage couples blazer, which was nice, but again, nothing special. I quickly paused to have a little break, read my book, because my legs were absolutely killing me in the heat and all of the standing. And then I started going down to a store called Cheap Vintage. So this one had a lot of different pieces. There was a lot to sift through. There were some really high quality pieces, a lot of berets, and so I tried those two ones. They were €8 each, so nothing crazy expensive. I just didn't love them, and so I didn't buy it. This leather skirt was gorgeous, but way too small for me. And then there was a kingdom of leather goods. There were so many leather jackets, leather coats, and there was this pair of navy leather trousers that were unfortunately a tiny bit too small for me, but if they had fit, I would have definitely bought them. And also this silly hat that was cool, but again, for €15, I didn't think it was worth it. I continued walking down the street. This was all in the second district, and there are two stores next to each other called Bum's Vintage and Bum's Vintage Archive. So Bum's Vintage was more of modern goods, so mid-level brands rather than purely designer, but they still had a lot of really high quality pieces. There were vintage Chanel shoes, Pradas, and a lot of more contemporary brands. I found this Chloe blouse and also a lot of different pieces to try on. I really like this red bag that was made entirely of ties, but I think they wanted 75 or €80 for it, which is a fair price for a handmade item, but I just didn't feel like I needed this one. So the first thing that I tried is this Pierre Cardin blazer that was in this really nice checkered pattern. If it had fitted better, I would have probably got it, but yeah, it just didn't feel like it was right on me. Then they had this really gorgeous see-through couples shirt that was brand new with tags, and it was only €30, so this was something that I was definitely considering. They also had this really cute Chanel perfume bottle silk blouse that was only €10 because it didn't have a brand on it, and even though it fitted me, it just felt a bit too restrictive, which I don't enjoy in my tops, and so I left this one behind. Next, I tried this really gorgeous skirt. I can't remember the brand. It was really cool, but it was made out of synthetic, and I just knew that it was going to make me really hot. And so next door was Bum's Vintage Archive, and in here you could see they had designer bags, designer goods, but the prices were a lot higher as well. Something that really annoyed me was that a lot of the pieces weren't really priced, and so when I was asking about prices, I just felt like the guy was making them up, which didn't feel very fair because I do like to know whether something makes sense or not. I really like this leather pin vest, but I do feel like you could make your own with a lot of different pins as well. There was the famous Songmon bag that I'm actually glad that I got to try and touch, because I wasn't super impressed with the leather, and maybe it's the specific bag, but it didn't feel like anything special. Next, I found this Zara bag that is real suede, and I do like this, but I think he wanted 35 or €40 for Zara, which just didn't make sense to me. And then I also found this Saint Laurent star print silk blouse, which I think fitted really nicely, but was €150, so I just decided to let it go. Right opposite Bum's Vintage, there is a huge store called Episode, and that one was sorted by category. So for example, you could see all of the printed skirts, all of the denim jackets, all of the pointed toe shoes, and so on together. And so that is great if you're looking for a specific piece, because you can see all of the items that are available in that specific thing. So I was very tempted by those suede knitted vests. They're really cool, but I don't know, just I think I was a bit tired at that point, so I wasn't really in the mood to try anything. So I looked around, I wandered around the floor quite a bit, didn't even film that much because I was just starting to get exhausted, but I didn't really pick up anything, even though I'm sure that if I came on a different day and I was feeling better, I would have probably found something that I really liked. At that point, I was considering what time I should go to the airport, and so I decided to do one more store, have something to eat, and then go. And so Alatone was the last stop that I made. Now, this was another large store which required a lot of looking around. The prices were a lot more reasonable, and I found a couple of things to try on. However, none of the shops had air conditioning, and so it was absolutely boiling. So I was sweaty, I was tired, and I think I was just not in the mood. So I tried a couple of things. I really liked this skirt, and that was pretty much it. I am absolutely exhausted, so I've just stopped for a quick dinner before I go to the airport. But yeah, like, you have to know your limits and not push it beyond that, because it just stops being fun, and I still want it to be fun. So yeah, I'm done. So I had some food and got on my flight. Now, let's look at some of the pieces, shall we? So first of all, we have the Stine Goya dress. I'm really excited about this piece. It is so colorful, so fun. And yeah, this was €10. Really happy that I got it. I also got this bag, which is Granny Squares. It looks to be handmade. I couldn't find any tags or labels. And it was €10, so it's not a huge amount, but it was definitely on the more expensive side from the things that I bought. But I knew that because it is so unique, I would have regretted not buying it if I left it behind, and I'm excited to style it. And of course, did you think that I'm not gonna buy a single beret? I got this one from one of the vendors in Paris. I mean, they're literally everywhere. It is way too hot for it right now. This is 95% wool, which was very important to me to be higher percentage so that it is a higher quality. I lost the one that I had in this exact same color a couple of years ago, and so I'm really excited to replace it. Okay, so this is the ski shirt on. I am so happy that I found it. You all know I love those novelty kind of prints. They just make me really happy, and I have a little collection of slightly weird tops and shirts. So I'll come a little bit closer so you can actually see the print, but this one is actually made in the USA. It's truly a vintage piece, and this was literally €5. So I think that for this price, the fact that it's made out of viscose, it's not polyester, I was just really happy. And if I was to create a look, obviously maybe with some tights and some boots, but it's too hot. This is the Ferret blazer. Now, I know some people would say, well, it's a little bit big in the shoulder, but I actually do like that effect, even though I do have narrow shoulders. I do like blazers that are a little bit more oversized. For this one, what I love is that it's made of wool, it's made in Italy, and even before seeing the label, I could feel the quality. It's really, really nice. And another thing that I really liked is that it is not actually fully navy. It has this very, very subtle print. So if you come a little bit closer, you can see it, but from afar, it is still very much a neutral blazer. And I think this one, because it has a little bit more room here, I would actually be able to wear jumpers as well if it gets really cold. And it was €2.50. So I think this is the absolute steal of the entire trip. Okay, so you might be wondering, Millie, I haven't seen this shirt, and that is because I also got it from France, but haven't shown it in the vlog. I got it in a place called Beauvais, which is maybe about 80 kilometers from Paris. This is where my flight landed, and so I stayed overnight, and they literally had one thrift store. So I went there. They had a lot of silk blouses for €5, and I got this one. So what I really like about this is that it is a little bit more of a complex color. It's not blue, it's not gray, it's kind of in between. And I also styled this with the snakeskin belt, which is also quite a unique sort of khaki shade. It's like greenish, but it's not 100% like olive or something. This one definitely has some signs of wear, so I'm going to try to fix it a little bit with nail polish. But truthfully, I don't mind if my clothes are a little bit more lived in. I think that's fine as long as it's not dirty or stained or something like that. But yeah, I am really happy with those finds. This was €2.50, this was €5. And this is with the blazer. I am really excited about this piece. It is made of 100% wool, but it's one of those very, very smooth wools that is not rigid, it's not stiff. I really like it. And the other thing I really like is that it is brown, but it's definitely more on the cool side, so it's going to work a lot better with the rest of my clothes. Now, the best thing was that I didn't even realize that this was a Hugo Boss blazer, and I got this for €5, which is crazy. So yeah, really, really happy about this. Now, I gotta admit that sheer as a texture is something that I am not very adept at using when it comes to my wardrobe, but I've been seeing people, especially on Substack, style the sheer skirt in really cool ways. And so I feel like I sort of manifested this, because how cool is this piece? Honestly, when I found it, I just kind of made a happy twirl, because it is gorgeous. I think it is made of some sort of taffeta or organza. I don't know how this fabric is called exactly. And it has this like beautiful embroidery all over it as well. It doesn't have a label, so this might as well be a handmade piece. And in here, I've just simply styled it with the previous outfit, but just put it on top. Now, I know some people just wear with kind of shorts or longer underwear. I will see more about styling. So this one, I'm very happy about the possibilities of how it's going to expand my wardrobe. And it was also €15. It wasn't anything crazy, so I felt more comfortable to buy something that is maybe pushing me a little bit more out of my style comfort zone. Okay, so this is not my best styling, but I wanted the blazer to be the star of the show. So this one is 100% wool vintage blazer. And what really drew me to it is actually the pattern. I just really loved it. And I think especially for the holidays, there's going to be an amazing piece with maybe like a red turtleneck or something really cool underneath. I have a lot of ideas, but all of my winter clothes are in storage right now. So I am working with whatever I have. Now, this one was actually €15 originally, but I asked them whether they could do any discount, because I found some imperfections on the inside, and they actually gave it to me for only €8. So I think it's always worth asking. The worst they can say is no. But yeah, I am really happy with this piece, and it's very much a one-of-a-kind vintage one that I was looking for when it comes to going to Paris. So we have the skirt, which was from the very, very last shop. It reminded me a lot of the Isabel Marant skirts from a couple of years ago, but it is definitely longer and more comfortable. It is 100% cotton. I can kneel, I can do anything in it, so very, very happy about it. And I also got another beret. This one is in this brighter green shade. Again, I just wanted something to brighten up the cold days that are for sure coming. I mean, it doesn't really feel like that right now, but it definitely will. So yeah, I really enjoy having those brighter accessories for the winter. So the skirt was €10 and this was €5. So for example, here we have the most sporty, basic, casual look for me. Let's add the crazy piece. So tell me that's not a big difference, right? I mean, in the summer especially, you can't really layer, right? So this is something that you can absolutely use as a layer without actually adding any bulk or heat or anything like that. Now, the other vision I had was over maybe a blouse, a white shirt, something like that. So let me see if I can find something. Okay. I think that this is more like the vision that I had in my head. And again, I would love to try this with some of the more autumnal pieces, blouses, jumpers, stuff like that. But for now, you can even see how it just adds something extra to a plain white blouse or to an overall quite a simple outfit. It is not so simple anymore. And this one is actually surprisingly sturdy. Obviously, it is a delicate piece, but I actually expected it to be more delicate than it actually is, so I'm really happy. So this one was €28, so I think that was the most expensive from the thrifted pieces, but at the same time it's such a unique thing that I feel like if I hadn't got it again, I would definitely regret not buying it, because it's not something that you can super easily find somewhere else. Oh, and by the way, I just wanted to show you this ring, because I also got this one in Paris. Now, this one is not thrifted, it is from a normal store, but I do like to buy jewelry whenever I go abroad, because it's a little bit like a memory that travels with me. You know, I wear a lot of rings, earrings, so I always try to buy something when I go somewhere abroad. And yeah, I found this one. I'm very happy. I'm absolutely melting. So please let me know what your thoughts are, what's your favorite piece, and if you enjoyed my very first vlog, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.